I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie fright M24. It was an American light tank M24. It brought a prison shank M24. Oh God, the bodies! Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and in keeping with a tradition that apparently my wife noticed, I am laughing within the first 30 seconds of my own video. Yes, I am my own biggest fan. I have a huge crush on myself, and it just makes me laugh at all my jokes, okay? Anyway, we are now in the thick of battle against a pay-to-win scrub. This is the M24. In my 4.3 lineup, I had a daily task to do today because I have a certain Tigor decal to unlock, and I was a bit miffed that my 100mm pen round wasn't punching through the side armor of that T-34. And then I ended up getting a nice little kill through the mantlet anyway. It all paid off in the end. Excuse me, I'm a bit tired tonight, as usual. Oh, you gotta see this. This is great. So we're gonna switch to the anti-aircraft 50 cal. Anti-materiel. You don't get a situation like that very often, but that demonstrates that it does pay to bind direct control of your anti-aircraft guns to your keyboard. I use Shift A and then Shift S for secondary guns and Shift D for main guns so that I can directly control individual weapon groups on my tank, and that really helps you with aiming. That comes in handy for American tanks that have the 50 cal mounted on top, and just about anything else that has some sort of anti-aircraft or secondary weapons. Being able to switch to it directly and have a proper gunner view makes a difference, and it's something that you will definitely see an improvement in your efficiency because of. Now we get a nice punch through of the flat turret face of a German Churchill, and we're gonna try a little bit of flank, since as every German in distress, he dropped smoke instead of trying to drop me. Maybe that was wise, maybe foolish, but he definitely wasn't in a position to prevent that from happening, as he was stuck on a repair with a knocked out turret ring. And and the wrong place at the wrong time, we take down a Puma for, what is that, our third kill? So not a bad start at all, especially considering my goal was to get into some CAS and kick some ass as I do. But the M24 is one of those tanks that just fits the War Thunder meta perfectly. You can play this at a 5.3 battle rating, and it's still a fun vehicle just because of its overall well-balanced nature, the fact it has a slow speed stabilizer, and that very reliable American short 75 that makes short work of so many targets from the sides and rear, and not to mention the fact that at the M24's own battle rating, it can punch through just about everything that you could possibly face. And we are in a very unexpected position. We can hear foes off to our left, and we know there's an SPAA to our right. Once again, we switch to the anti-aircraft gun, and this time only managed to peg the loader on the spaghetti wind, and yet that's enough to send Giuseppe back toward friendly cover, around into his turret, does nothing. We try to open up with the 50 cals just to notice a Panzer IV who thankfully wasn't looking our way, and then finish off with a quick round of DACAs. Our 5th kill, and we know there are snipers on this ridge that we're just about to flank. The only thing that can stop us now is if somebody blows around that corner to our right. So we stop, we listen. I'm actually hearing the sound of Dita's voice in the background. I don't do this very often at all because I'm generally listening for what my kids are doing, but I was listening to some Twitch streamers today. I started off with the European Canadian because I had a present to deliver to him. I made a meme video out of one of his reactions on one of his streams. That was a lot of fun, and it's always nice to have an opportunity just to, or I guess an excuse to check in with him. He is one of my actual friends on YouTube, and I love it. And a quick dispatch of those 2 poor bastards that were engaged in some long-range sniping. According properly to the model of their tank, not at all suited for the close-range ravaging that I brought to them with the M24. And now we're just loving life. So this has been a quick few kills in the M24. This is exactly the kind of gameplay you can expect out of this vehicle if you use good map and tactical awareness. You can tell that I'm listening for where enemies are. I'm hearing gunfire. I'm flanking positions. I'm not really overextending myself either. As you can see, my team is in the area to draw some of that fire. So this is, to put it simply, exactly the kind of gameplay that you can do well with the M24 in. And you can see that it's strong enough and capable enough in many aspects to be well balanced, and yet what is about to happen here, we did so well, and I was hoping for another kill, and maybe, just maybe, I got a little bit too aggressive. I used to be really good at taking down T-34s with that neck shot or the turret cheeks shot, but I'm just not as capable at taking them down as I used to be. I'm out of practice. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. We had our shot. We just aimed at the wrong spot, and who do we give our body away to other than some random squeezy boy? So I was very happy with the way things turned out in that life. And now, if you'd like, let's get into some replays. Alright, first off we have AmFam's very own Mr. Gray, and this is not going to be a high kill gameplay like you just saw from my M24 footage. I don't always have matches like that, but I had a lot of good matches today. Playing rank 3 4.3 battle rating USA, and the US has an extremely strong 4-3 premium lineup. You know that's how I roll. This is instead going to be Mr. Gray surviving, and he even clips the water with a wing. Something caught a wingtip and took it away, and now this Focke-Wulf is on its way back to base. It looks like a ground mixed battle, so I'm assuming this is Tank RB, and every now and then you can get away with something like this. But it brings up the subject of those matches where it's not really about the kills, it's about the experience. It's about the story you tell to your friends, a story that AmFam's very own Mr. Gray told to me along with submitting this replay. And it's something that I really think makes War Thunder special. It's not the only game where you have these story time moments, but between being accessible, having this huge learning curve where you can just constantly learn things, which is something I'm addicted to in gaming, if you couldn't tell from my habits already, and also just having moments like this where nothing else matters except survival. And the Focke-Wulf 190, one of the few planes that you can actually land on the gear while it's still extending and get away with it. And that's exactly what Mr. Gray did today. He took a hit and he didn't quit. He got her back to the airfield, and I'm sure in short order he was back into the fight, kicking ass and taking names. And along those lines we have Ozzy Mantis, another familiar face on the Toshio Thunder Discord, link in the description below, in a vehicle that he's very happy to be piloting, a Spitfire. Which model is it? You're asking the wrong guy, fella. I'm not your fella, buddy. But it is a Spitfire with cannons, and I believe I hear the Rakataka of 7.7 machine guns. So, pinkies out, lads, as we go into the engagement with that Bf-109F4, ripping off a wing nicely with what looked to be the first solid hit on the enemy fighter. A low-flying enemy BV-238 pops smoke and goes into, I don't even know what to call that. Ozzy going for the 109 instead of the Doom Fortress for now, and now turning below the Teutonic Behemoth, directly in the line of fire of those guns and dancing nimbly away, somehow surviving the experience. A story your grandkids will never believe, Pilot Ozzy. Yet another epic story from War Thunder. After a quick trip to the airfield to refuel and rearm, Ozzy's back at high altitude, diving on fools the way you love to do. A Focke-Wulf at lower altitude. Don't mind if I do. That enemy is already dead. As he zooms up toward Ozzy, he's going to have one chance to get the guns on target. And if our guy knows his stuff, that's not even gonna happen. Focke-Wulf zooming fairly effectively. Ozzy perhaps burning a bit more energy than necessary in that quick little shimmy, a little bit of a rolling scissors, if you will. And now looping over against the Focke-Wulf, who's still doing uniform vertical loops the way the manual told him to do. But this Volksturm pilot is going to have a hard time dealing with the energy advantage that Ozzy has now, along with every other advantage once a Focke-Wulf is on even terms with a Spitfire. It's probably a battle the enemy pilot could win, but like I said, once you have a Spitfire above you, you've already lost the battle. The only thing you can do is try to get lucky in your first pass, or hope the enemy pilot falls asleep at the controls. Even so, the enemy Focke-Wulf making a good old college try of the matter, and maintaining a somewhat reasonable amount of energy, even if he can't manage to keep out of the sights of our British pilot. And he did also have a brief window to deal some damage to the Spit, but Either he hit with AP or his machine guns just a bit on the central section of the rearward area of Ozzy's Spitfire. Yes, those are all very technical terms. You're welcome. Only the best from Toshio. Another thing to note is that the replay always lags behind a bit on aiming, so these shots that look like they're falling well short of the Focke-Wulf are probably flying right in his area. Another thing to note about the Spitfire specifically is that its flaps both rip at a fairly low speed because War Thunder, and they also retract very slowly. Again, because War Thunder. It's not as though the air pressure would help them in retracting. No. They tear off. I'm sure it's a balancing factor. But seeing a Spitfire rip its flaps is a fairly common occurrence, I assure you. And Ozzy, pulling off some nice maneuvers, manages to pick up his 4th kill, and along with it, in the clear skies, setting a few barbecues in honor of the 4th of July, which is coming up very soon around here in my neighborhood. Some of my jackassier neighbors are lighting off illegal fireworks. A lot of fireworks are legal around here. You're not supposed to be lighting off the ones that launch themselves up in the air and then explode. And my wife was very concerned last night when one of them exploded after colliding with our window. So I didn't notice that. I think it was the bedroom window. She was in the bedroom. I was still out here probably recording a video. And yeah, that's delightful. In any event, it's always nice when you get a chance to do a little bit of ground strike in a Spitfire. I suspect that's something of a rare opportunity, and with little more than a few 20mm rounds and some 7.7s, he's managed to pick up some more victory points for his team, bringing the stakes even closer and working our way toward the end of this match, as you can tell from the timer in the top right. Who's the last on the enemy team other than that very cheeky BV-238 we saw earlier? And the defensive fire comes in. Ozzy in a head-on, lighting a couple of fires, which is generally enough to cause a BV to burn out. These days, it's not the indestructible menace that it was when that premium aircraft first came to the game, because that's how premium works. And that final kill is how Ozzy wraps up the match, and I think that's where I'll cut it off for tonight. It's been a long day. I put a picnic table together, and that was fairly easy. No, it was not an IKEA brand. And I'm pretty sleepy. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.